Doesn't it suck when EVGA releases a BIOS for your card and it doesn't work for your card, but it works for everybody else's cards? Hey guys, welcome to Frame Chasers. Lots of info in this one. Where do I start here? Okay, EVGA released a 500 watt XOC BIOS for the Win3 3090, right? Great, fantastic. Everyone tries it out. Reports come back that it doesn't work. Jacob on the forum is like, it does work, guys. Meanwhile, 100 people are like, it doesn't work. Meanwhile, people with Gaming X Trios says it works. What have I been saying all along? Get the Gaming X Trio. Get the cheapest triple 8-pin that you can buy. Don't worry about these expensive models. The problem with expensive models is they're going to put more effort into segmenting those products away from the even higher ones, right? Whereas like the cheap shit ones, they're like, no load balancing for you plebs, right? So anyway, now with the release of this BIOS and doing some more testing with it, now I know why the Win3 3080 BIOS didn't work. It worked for me, but it didn't work for anybody else apparently. And come on guys, you don't have to call me a liar just because it didn't work for you. I'm representing information because it worked for me, alright? Like, chill the fuck out, alright? Anyway, the reason why that came up is on EVGA cards, the whole problem stems from that PCI Express shunt resistor. If you go back and watch all my 3080 shunt modding fiasco videos, when I got my 3080, I shunted 2, 4, 6, and then 7 resistors. And I shunted all the ones on the board except the PCI Express one, and it didn't work. As soon as I shunted that PCI Express one, it unlocked the rest of the board, right? So why is that relevant to the topic of today? Because that 450 watt 3080 BIOS and the 500 watt 3090 BIOS, the reason why that didn't work on anybody else's cards is because even though the total board power limit is increased, when that PCI Express shunt detects 75 watts of power draw, it limits the rest of the board. So nobody's getting shit from that BIOS, right? But I did because my PCI Express shunt is shunted. Now, with the 3090 500 watt BIOS, the reason why nobody's seeing any gains is because as soon as that PCI Express shunt hits 75 watts, it limits the rest of the board. And that is by design, like electrical design. And only EVGA seems to have this, to my knowledge, because the Gaming X Trios ones work. But, so essentially, if you want these higher limit BIOSes to work, you have to shunt the PCI Express one. End of story. So that brings us to today's testing. We're going to go upstairs. I'm going to run a time spy with the stock 3080 BIOS. Then I'm going to run the 3090 450 watt BIOS, 500 watt BIOS. Then I'm going to shunt just the PCI Express connector on my For the Win 3090. Then we're going to try again and see if there's a difference. Okay, on to the gaming rig. Okay, so right now we are with the stock 450 watt BIOS that comes with the card here. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the the board power draw and the PCI Express power draw. So let's do a 3D mark here. We don't need to go through the entire benchmark. We're just looking at power draw right now and what if the BIOS actually does anything. Come on, 3D mark. Holy shit, it's taking a while to load. Okay, here we go. Time spy, I'm going to move it over here so you can see, click. I don't want the CPU. Run. So it should pop up on the other screen, so you won't see it, but you'll be able to see the power draw of the card while it's doing it, right? So let's see what happens here with the 450 watt stock BIOS. Then after this, we'll flash the 500 watt BIOS, and then we'll see if it makes a difference. Holy crap! I feel like 3D Mark like does something every patch, and it just takes forever now. There we go. Jesus. Oh, I gotta minimize this quickly. Okay, there we go. Still going, still going. Okay. It's about to go now. Okay, there we go. So we're at 430 watts, 434, 430. So it's kind of hovering around 430 watts right now, 441. And if you look at the PCI Express slot power here, it's going to, almost 80 watts there. 78.4 watts, 79 watts. So that's the one that we want to focus on. The other ones are 115, 120, 120. They're all about 120. So PCI Express slot is at 78, and the 3 8-pins are all at around 120. So now let's go and flash the 500 watt BIOS and see what happens. Okay, so apparently my For the Win 3 Ultra actually isn't an Ultra, it's just a regular For the Win 3. So the BIOS updater didn't actually work for my card, it didn't let me. So I had to go on Tech Power Up, download the regular For the Win 3 Ultra BIOS. Now I'm running the updater tool. We gotta do the old 1-2 trick that I used for the XC3 as well as this one. Alright. This should work now. Alright, we're back now. Let's see if this works. So what we're looking for, I think, let me just run this. What we're looking for, I think, is we're looking to see if the PCI Express slot power is less, and if the 8-pin powers are higher, I would assume. Let's see what happens here. And the board power draw was hovering from anywhere from 380 to 400 watts on this BIOS, right? From the last run. Wait, what's 75 watts times 1.625 minus 75? 47 watts. Oh yeah, so holy shit. Yeah. Look. 430, 435. Now you have to also add that 47 watts from the shunt because it's not detecting it. So you're getting 470 watt power draw right now. 470, 480. Yeah, this works. This works. Confirmed. It actually works. Now instead of it being 380 watts and 400 watts, it's now 480 watts. Yep. Dead on. I fucking knew it, dude. I knew it. 100%. 445 plus 45, 490 watts. 490. Keep in mind, it is pulling 100 and what was it? 175 watts times 1.625. So it is pulling 122 watts from the PCI Express connector right now. Whether or not you find that safe or not is up to you. My Apex 12 motherboard has a Molex PCI Express connector on the bottom of the motherboard, so I'm not worried about it. 450, 455, 455 plus 42. Yeah, we're at 500 watts exactly, boys. So the limit of that BIOS flash was the PCI Express connector. Let's see what this scores now, actually. Man, I am a genius, Christ. I'm just gonna pat myself on the shoulder here. This is hilarious. Don't let EVGA segment your shit, guys. Where there's poor people, there is a way. Where there are modders and overclockers, there is a way. Okay, let's see what the score says here. Wow, I got like 1,700 extra points from that. Yep, confirmed working. Confirmed. That is 100% working. 1,700 extra points from that on Time Spy. The limit is the PCI Express shunt. Let's see what the BIOS says right away. 500 watts. Okay, so we are on the XOC BIOS on a non-ultra for the Win 3. Even though it says that it's just the base model one. I always buy the base model. Always get the base model. But sensors. Let's run a Time Spy and see what it tells us. 100% fans. Yeah, power limit maxed out, 100% fans, clocks are the same. Let's see what these numbers tell us. Come on, load, 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 load. Time Spy, no CPU, and let's run this. Move this over. Now, from what if we read is true, then it's going to still be at around 430 watts during the benchmark. Like, nothing changes. And we should see 80 watts from the PCIe connector and 120 from the other three. And if that's the case, then it's limited by the PCI Express connector. Alright, it's loading up right now. What do we got? Yep, 430 watts. It's the exact same. 80 watts PCI Express connector and around 120 on the other ones. So actually, it's a little lower, huh? Oh yeah, look at that, look at that. It's actually drawing less power now because the PCI Express slot power is staying at 75 and not 80. So the other BIOS was actually better. That's hilarious. So because we lost 5 watts on the PCI Express connector, wow, we lost more than 5 watts. This is trash. This is actual trash. Okay, well, here's what we're gonna do. That's hilarious. Wow, okay, here's what we're gonna do. Now, you don't even have to take apart the main cooler for this part, because the PCI Express shunt is actually on the back, I believe. Let me just confirm this quickly. One here. Come on. Yeah, it's on the back. This one right here. So, this shunt right here goes to the PCI Express slot. And if you remember me from my old Turing videos, all faithful. It's funny how everything comes back full circle, huh? Time to glue on a resistor. So, easy peasy, I'm going to grab this 8 milliohm resistor here. I'm going to place it right over top of the PCI Express shunt. Just like that. Yeah. And it's nice and straight. All faithful. Gonna apply just a little pressure on top to make sure there's a connection, and a glue we go. And a glue we go. Let that dry for a second. Now I'm gonna show you an additional little insurance trick for this to make sure that there's proper contact. Again, you don't even have to take off the front cooler for this part, just the back plate, which is so that 450 watt BIOS with this mod is going to be really nice together. So you keep your warranty, you get a little bit of extra bump, and yeah. So this should be dry now. Yep. All right, let me show you this next little trick. All right, now that that's glued down, you can take a little 2mm thermal pad. I actually already have some cut up for resistor size. Put the thermal pad on top of the resistor, like this, and then when you clamp down the back plate, it's going to apply pressure on the shunt resistor. That way you know there's going to be good connection, but also you don't have to solder it, right? So I'm going to put this back together now. Let me just make sure that if I close this down... Oh yeah, dude. As soon as you clamp down this screw, it's going to be right on there. Done. Okay, I'm going to screw this back together and I will be back. Actually, while I'm screwing this down, I just thought of something. If you were actually sly enough, you could even get away with not even using glue. If you could somehow put the resistor in that one spot and then put the back plate on with the thermal pad just so it pushes down, you could even get away without using glue on this trick, which is hilarious to think about, that you're just kind of placing a resistor in place to get around it. But I mean, you could do it. You could do it that way. Okay, it's all back together. I'm gonna try and show you right here. You can kind of see it. You see how the thermal pad is pushing down on the shunt right there? That way I know it's going to make good connection, right? Does that make sense? With no soldering, no evidence that I was ever there in the first place. Okay, let's put this back in the computer and then we'll see what happens. All right, we're back now. Let's see if this works. So what we're looking for, I think, let me just run this. What we're looking for, I think, is we're looking to see if the PCI Express slot power is less and if the 8-pin powers are higher, I would assume. Let's see what happens here. And the board power draw was hovering from anywhere from 380 to 400 watts on this BIOS, right? From the last run. Wait, what's 75 watts times 1.625 minus 75? 47 watts. Oh yeah, so holy shit. Yeah. Look. 430, 435. Now you have to also add that 47 watts from the shunt because it's not detecting it. So you're getting 470 watt power draw right now. 470, 480. Yeah, this works. This works. Confirmed. It actually works. Now instead of it being 380 watts and 400 watts, it's now 480 watts. Yep. Dead on. I fucking knew it, dude. I knew it. 100%. 445 plus 45, 490 watts. 490. Keep in mind, it is pulling 100 and what was it? 175 watts times 1.625. So it is pulling 122 watts from the PCI Express connector right now. Whether or not you find that safe or not is up to you. My Apex 12 motherboard has a Molex PCI Express connector on the bottom of the motherboard, so I'm not worried about it. 450, 455, 455 plus 42. Yeah, we're at 500 watts exactly, boys. So the limit of that BIOS flash was the PCI Express connector. Let's see what this scores now, actually. Man, I am a genius, Christ. I'm just gonna pat myself on the shoulder here. This is hilarious. Don't let EVGA segment your shit, guys. Where there's poor people, there is a way. Where there are modders and overclockers, there is a way. Okay, let's see what the score says here. Wow, I got like 1,700 extra points from that. Yep, confirmed working. Confirmed. That is 100% working. 1,700 extra points from that on Time Spy. The limit is the PCI Express shunt. I'm going to insert applause here so it doesn't seem like I'm just doing this in a empty vacant room. You know what's hilarious? It's funny how this guy with 1,000 subs can figure all this out, and like Jay's 2 cents with an XOC BIOS is wondering why his power limit is at 120, and he, like, you know what I mean? The guy was wondering why it was power limiting and not looking at GPU-Z and looking at the sensors. You know what I mean? Like, people troubleshooting overclocking problems is an entirely separate skill set and art that not many people have. And if you want to follow that shit, hit the subscribe button. So, moral of the story, if you want that 500 watt BIOS to work, you just have to glue that one resistor on the PCI Express connector. Whether you think that's safe or not, I have no idea. I think it's fine. Der Bauer proved that it was fine. I've been running my 3080 this whole time. It's fine. It's fine. Like, I think I wouldn't double shunt it. That's a little sketchy if it starts drawing like 200 watts. But if it's drawing 120, that's fine. The problem is EVGA can't release a BIOS that allows the PCI Express connector to draw more than 75 watts, 80 watts or whatever that one run was, right? So no matter what they do, because of the way their circuitry is built on these cards, that's it, guys. Sorry. Like unless you shunt your PCI Express connector, no matter what BIOS they release, you're stuck at 450 watts. If they release a Kingpin BIOS, unless it removes the PCI Express power limit, you're stuck at 450. I'm assuming for the Kingpin, they're probably going to change it so you can draw more power from the rails separate from the PC. I would assume, or they'll do it in the BIOS where they'll just segregate them. But for the BIOSes that we plebs get, you're stuck at 450 forever on any card unless you shunt the PCI Express connector. That's why 450 seems to be the magical number, right? Anyway, guys, the glue-on resistor trick is back. It is back. And the more they release that have higher and higher and higher power limits, a little bit of glue solves your problem, solves your day. EVGA never needs to know that you glued some shit on. They never need to know. Get your power limit. Anyway, guys, if you like the content and if you learned something, hit that subscribe button and we'll be showing more of this kind of stuff in the future. Do all that YouTube SEO stuff for me. Like, share, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time that one of these companies tries to segregate our products from us, and I will find a way around it. Talk to you later.